Welcome to lecture number 10. This is topic 1.10, Kinship and Political Leadership. The first of three learning objectives is to describe the function of kinship along with the varied roles women played in early West and Central African societies. Let's start with what kinship means. Many of the early West and Central African societies were composed of kinship groups, meaning that they were either family groups or villages that in some way were related to each other. These were also sometimes considered stateless societies. Up to 1/4 of the people in West Africa lived in these stateless societies. A prominent example is the Igbo people in modern-day Nigeria. The Igbo were organized in autonomous villages governed by a council of elders with no centralized authority. People were tied together by speaking the same language, but they lived independently from each other in small villages centered around specific familial lines. Kinship often formed the basis of political alliances. If someone were married off to a different village, the kinship they retained with the original village would form a basis for a future alliance. This was found mostly in sparsely populated areas and was more prevalent in the savanna region than in the forest region of West Africa. Villages were led by chiefs or councils of elders, and they mostly practiced agriculture in these kinship villages. Depending on ethnicity, kinships could be matrilineal or patrilineal, meaning the family line was traced either through the mother in matrilineal societies or through the father in patrilineal societies. The elders or chiefs would also gain their power through this matrilineal or patrilineal line. However, just because the society was matrilineal didn't mean that women were the ones in power. Men still dominated in these societies both in rank and property, but women sometimes had the ability to act as advisors, and of course, a succession of leadership would be done through the relation to the women elders. The map on the screen shows the present matrilineal and patrilineal regions across the entire continent of Africa, and you can see that around the West African region where the Sudanic empires are present, there are still hints of matrilineal societies and traditions. In the Ashanti Kingdom, for instance, the matrilineal system meant that the inheritance and succession were determined through the mother's line, giving women significant influence over political decisions. The Akan people of Ghana also followed a matrilineal system, with women playing key roles in community governance and decision-making. This is also seen in Central Africa near Congo and Angola. The role of women in these groups was varied. They played many roles in West and Central Africa as spiritual leaders, political advisors, market traders, educators, and agriculturalists, planting or harvesting crops. We see this through the archaeological findings of the Ndongo people, where women practiced pottery and agriculture while men hunted. When working the land, there were divisions of labor by gender. There's also evidence that women worked as government officials in the Ghana Empire. In certain kingdoms like the Ashanti, the queen was able to hold courts to administer women's affairs. In some matrilineal societies, women had the authority to select and depose chiefs, giving them substantial political power. In some societies, women were allowed to own property, though sometimes they were considered property themselves. Women also played significant roles in religious ceremonies and rituals, often serving as priestess and healers. Additionally, women in market trading often controlled local and regional trade networks, contributing significantly to the economy. In the Yoruba culture, women were involved in the administration of markets and were pivotal in the economic decision-making process. The second learning objective is to compare the political and military leaderships of Queen Idia of Benin and Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba. Queen Idia in modern-day Nigeria was the first Iyoba or Queen Mother in the Kingdom of Benin. She was the second wife to the Oba or king, and her son was not next in line to be king. After her husband's death, she orchestrated her son's succession to the position of Oba. She then served as a political advisor to her son and played a pivotal role in the Agala-Benin War of 1515 to 1516. The pendant made out of ivory that you see on the screen is a contemporary portrayal of her. Queen Idia was also known for her strategic use of alliances and military tactics, which helped secure her son's throne. Furthermore, she was a patron of the arts, commissioning significant works that contributed to the cultural heritage of Benin. Her involvement in diplomatic negotiations helped to maintain Benin's stability during periods of conflict. Her influence extended beyond her son's reign, shaping the future of Benin's political structure. Queen Nzinga in present-day Angola became the queen of the kingdom of Ndongo and Matamba. She was part of the royal family and her brother was the king. While her brother was king, she received political and military training and served as an ambassador to the Portuguese Empire to keep them from gaining too much influence in the neighboring kingdom of Congo. She used her conversion to Christianity and baptism as a diplomatic strategy to show the Portuguese she was negotiating in good faith. When the relationship with the Portuguese soured, she fought against their encroachment into her homeland. After being defeated by the Portuguese, she conquered the kingdom of Matamba to continue fighting against the Europeans. She reigned during a period of rapid growth in the slave trade in Central Africa. Nzinga was also known for her resilience and tactical acumen, employing guerrilla warfare tactics against the Portuguese. Additionally, she formed alliances with other African kingdoms and European powers, such as the Dutch, to counter Portuguese influence. Nzinga's leadership also involves extensive administrative reforms to strengthen her kingdom's internal structure. Her efforts to centralize power helped consolidate her authority over disparate factions within her realm. Both women participated in war to maintain stability in their kingdoms. Queen Idia took part in the Angola-Benin War, where she was said to have spiritual powers and medicinal knowledge that helped Benin to victory. Queen Idia was believed to possess spiritual powers and extensive medical knowledge. She used these abilities to boost the morale of Benin's warriors and protect them in battle. Her spiritual practices included rituals and ceremonies that were believed to ensure victory and provide protection against enemy forces. One of the key turning points in the war was the assassination of the Igala general, orchestrated by Queen Idia. This decisive action weakened the Igala forces and disrupted their command structure, leading to their eventual defeat. The removal of the Igala general created confusion and disarray within the enemy ranks, significantly contributing to Benin's success. Nzinga fought against the Portuguese during her reign of Ndongo, waging guerrilla warfare from a group of islands in the Kwanza River. Even after her army was defeated, she continued to fight from the interior and married into a rival group, the Imbangala, to regain influence and continue her fight. She engaged in 30 years of guerrilla warfare against the Portuguese, starting after her conquest of Matamba. She participated in the slave trade to amass wealth and political influence, becoming one of the most influential political leaders of the region. She later used the Dutch as a counter to the Portuguese influence and made peace with the Portuguese in 1656. Late in life, she focused more on strengthening Matamba because her home of Ndongo had been ravaged by war. She resettled some former enslaved people and reformed the legal code to strengthen the kingdom for the future. Nzinga's military campaign significantly disrupted Portuguese trade and colonial ambitions in Central Africa. Furthermore, her legacy as a warrior queen inspired subsequent generations to resist colonial domination. The next learning objective is to describe the legacy of Queen Idia of Benin and Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba's leadership. Queen Idia was immortalized after the 1977 Festac, or the Second World Black Festival of Arts and Culture, held in Lagos, Nigeria. It was the largest Pan-African gathering ever, with 500,000 spectators from all over the African diaspora. Stevie Wonder even made an appearance, and the ivory mask of Idia was adopted as a symbol for the festival, as seen on the flyer on the right side. Queen Idia became an iconic symbol of black women's leadership throughout the African diaspora because of it. Her legacy also includes the establishment of the Iyoba title, which continues to be significant in Benin's cultural and political system. Additionally, the arts and cultural achievements during her time have left a lasting impact on Benin's heritage. The story of her life and achievement is taught in schools in Nigeria, ensuring that her contributions are remembered by future generations. Her legacy has also influenced the contemporary African artists and scholars who draw inspiration from her life and work. Queen Nzinga's legacy is that even though she died in 1663, she proved to be a skillful political and military leader remembered throughout the African diaspora. The Portuguese viewed her as one of their greatest adversaries in Africa, possibly only second to Garcia II in the Kingdom of Congo. Nzinga viewed herself as equal to the most powerful African kings of the time, and she set up a rule of women for 80 of the next 104 years following her death. She did this by naming her sister as the heir before she died. Today, she's viewed as the mother of Angola. Nzinga's leadership and resistance have been celebrated in Angolan history and culture with numerous monuments and statues commemorating her achievements. Nzinga's influence extended beyond her lifetime, shaping the political landscape of Angola for centuries. Her life and achievements have inspired countless works of literature, art, and theater, highlighting her enduring impact on African culture. And finally, to recap, kinship groups and alliances were common in West Africa and Central Africa. Women took on a variety of roles across African societies. Queen Idia had a great influence in the late 15th century in the Kingdom of Benin, and Queen Nzinga rose to the throne of Ndongo and Matamba in the early 17th century, initiating nearly 100 years of women rulers. Thank you for watching. If you would like to watch the next lecture, click the thumbnail on the screen, and if you would like more resources to help you study, you can visit apushslides.com/afam. I wish you the best of luck with your studies, and I hope to see you back on the next lecture.